Hello, everyone. Welcome, welcome. It's another Medical Monday, and it's a brand new episode of Should You Take That Case? As always, our goal of this show is to be a resource for legal professionals like yourselves who pursue medical cases by sharing their experiences and insights as defense or plaintiff attorneys. And I am still your host, Lisa Wade, friendly neighborhood legal nurse consultant, owner of Wade Nurse Consultants, and the creator of our wonderful LinkedIn community, the Attorney Medical Record Resource Group. That's where we get all of our fine attorney guests from. And we use this as an opportunity to get to know one another. And we're going to do that today with our guest, John Risvold. But before we get John over here, we're going to scoot over to the comments section and see if anybody's visiting us live. We just ask you to put an A into that chat if you are an attorney, put a P if you're a paralegal, an L if you're a legal assistant. But if you are part of a wonderful group that I am a part of, Women Owned Law, put a W into that chat so we can see you and say hello, see how you're doing. Women Owned Law, again, a wonderful institution. And it is a groundbreaking group that was created to connect and advance women legal entrepreneurs. So visit us over at womenownedlaw.org and see if you can get behind those women legal entrepreneurs. Take a look. And we thank everybody for joining us today, taking all of this precious time out of your very busy days. And now let me introduce our guest. John Risvold is a personal injury trial lawyer who helps injured people recover their lives and livelihoods by fighting for them in court. A partner at the Collins Law Firm in Chicago, John has been recognized as a top 40 under 40 civil trial lawyer by the National Trial Lawyers and a Super Lawyers Rising Star from 2017 to 2022. And he lives in Chicago suburbs with his wife and three young children. And now I'm going to bring to you John Risvold. There you go. Hi,
Hey,
John.
hey, how are you?
I'm good, thank you. And how's the weather in Chicago?
It's actually a beautiful day, 85 and sunny, and going to be gorgeous all week. So it's really nice.
Excellent. And Philadelphia is not so bad. Pretty good. And let's hope it stays just like that here, too.
Absolutely. Can't beat
All right.
Chicago in the summertime.
I'm sorry?
Said you just can't beat Chicago in the summertime.
You can't beat it?
Can't beat it. It's the best.
All right, then. Well, that's good because you can certainly beat the summer in Philadelphia. So, but I'm glad you're with us today. Thank you for coming.
Thanks for having me. This is going to be great.
Yay. All right. Well, we're going to get into all the juicy details you have for us about how you handle those tons of medical records that come with your personal injury cases. But before that, we want to hear all about you. You tell us how you got to be in this field, how you got to be an attorney, or, why aren't you a baker? What, tell us all of that.
Um, I'm not sure exactly what led me to law school in the long run, but I think back initially to high school debate. I had a really great high school debate coach who taught me how to think quickly on my feet and how to persuasively argue and how to write well and craft arguments. And I really, really enjoyed it. And I just sort of stuck with that. I did very well with it in high school. I sort of stuck with it a little bit in college. And I took a year off trying to figure out what I wanted to do to make sure I wanted to go to law school, and ended up in that year definitely realizing I did, and went. Came out of law school, and jobs were not plentiful in the recession. And so I took the first job I took was a $12 an hour clerk job with a law degree, and parlayed that into an associate position, did some insurance defense work for about 5 years or so. And then about 6 years ago, came over to the Collins law firm to work with two of my longtime mentors, Ed Mansky and Sean Collins, who are now my partners, which is very, very cool. And I get to help people who've been hurt. And so I'm on the other side of it, working against the insurance companies and the larger corporations, trying to get people put back in the position they were in before some tragedy happened to them, or trying to help families who are going through very, very sad wrongful death or debilitating injury or illness that has changed their entire family dynamic and their lives. So.
Boy, well, it sounds like your path wasn't completely straight, but
No.
you made it.
Not at all. There's no lawyers in my family. My family's mostly salespeople, teachers, and police officers. So I'm the only lawyer in the family, which means I get the privilege of, all the calls about every legal issue you could imagine, even though I'm only a personal injury lawyer, and that's all that I do is help people that are injured. I still get, hundreds of the family calls of, can you help me with the real estate transaction, or do you know a good family lawyer or an adoption lawyer or whatever it is? Because I'm the only one. So it's an interesting sort of dynamic for sure.
No, I understand. I'm one of the only nurses in my family. So, medical calls at 2 a.m., it happens. I understand, definitely. Now, let's get into those cases that you get. All those cases that you mentioned, the wrongful death, personal injury, things like that. How do you pick and choose what is a good or reasonable case to take? What's your process for deciding that?
Yeah, I had somebody tell me a long time ago that every personal injury case is like a three-legged bar stool. You have to be able to prove fault for one leg, you have to be able to prove damages for the other leg, and there has to be money you can actually collect for the third leg. And so, we're looking at it in terms of, can we prove that somebody did something negligent, that somebody did something wrong, reckless, careless? And if so, did it actually cause harm? And what is the harm? And what can we prove? And it's not just that they had X dollars in medical bills. It's proving the way that their life has been changed. It's proving the actual human losses, the things that I think are really, really important, the disruption to your normal life, your pain, the suffering that they've endured, those sorts of things. And so when we're looking at cases, it's just a matter of, can we prove it? And I treat every case that comes across my desk as if it's going to be put in front of a jury. So I want to be able to build it and frame it in a way that I could teach it to a complete stranger who's never heard anything about the case, and they would understand it. And so I'm trying to always keep it as simple as I can, to distill it down to its simplest form, and to make sure that I know I can check all the boxes to prove everything I need to prove to help the person or the family member or the family that I'm trying to help.
Mm-hmm. Well, that three-legged bar stool analogy has got to be kind of helpful. I mean, how many of us haven't been on a bar stool? So
there you go.
I can relate. So that's good. And now you've got that case. You've decided maybe to take it. Then those medical records start piling in. What process, if any, do you have, or protocol for addressing and combing through, digging into those medical records?
Sure. So you can probably see some of them here on my desk. That's just a small fraction of them. I probably review tens of thousands of pages of medical records. The number one thing that I have to do right off the bat is, in speaking with the client and potentially their doctors or whoever, whatever medical provider might be involved, I need to figure out, what are the injuries being claimed? So for instance, if it's a brain injury case, I need to figure out, well, what kind is it? Is it a post-concussive brain injury? Is it a brain bleed? And then I have to learn the medicine, and not to the extent that you would know it or anybody else who has medical training would know it, but enough that I could have a conversation with you as an expert or any other medical professional as an expert, and I would understand what they're saying back to me. So I have to learn the medicine to at least that point so that I can communicate it effectively, and that I can make sure that I can communicate it again to a jury who, there may be medical professionals on a jury, but there may be 12 people that have no medical background. And so I need to be able to take a diffuse axonal injury and explain, what does that mean? Well, it means that the axons in the brain got stretched out and tore, and that caused XYZ. And so that's where it starts, is I figure out what are the injuries we're claiming, and then I go through the records page by page. I turn every page. I think that there are plenty of shortcuts and plenty of easy ways to do it. You know, with technology, you can make records searchable, you can scan through them, but my first pass is turn every page, because there might be something somewhere in the records that is supremely helpful that I wouldn't find if I'm just keyword searching, or if I'm just trying to go look for whatever tidbits that I want to use. So once I've done that and I have a good handle on it, I try to create a little bit of a chronology. Medical chronologies, I think, are super helpful in my world as a personal injury lawyer, so that I can explain the course of treatment, whether the person got better or not. They're also incredibly helpful in a medical negligence context. I have a very serious birth injury case, and a lot of it hinges on the heart rate, fetal heart rate monitors, and when certain, when you had certain accelerations and decelerations, and at what time, and when people were notified. And so when I'm going through those records, I'm kind of going through 3 sets of records at one time. I'm going through the chart for the mother, then I'm going through the heart rate strips for both the mother and the baby. And then I'm also going through all the phone call records from the nurses and the staff to the doctors and back and forth, to try to line up all the timing. And so creating those summaries and chronologies help me tremendously distill something that is, those medical records are about 7,500 pages. And, I got them down to maybe a 5-page bullet pointed list. And then I'll try to condense it more from there. But, if you can take 7,500 pages and distill it into 5 pages, that's a good start. And so it's just a lot of trying to break it down into its simplest form, because I'm not a medical professional, right? I am effectively a salesman with a law degree. And so I got to be able to sell the case and to prove the case, and to show to a jury that this is a very serious wrong, and here's why. The medical records are the best way to do that. They're the foundation of every personal injury case. And so if I don't know the medicine and I don't know the records, I'm doing my client a huge disservice.
All right. Excellent. Excellent. Now, so you are perusing, to say the least, thousands of pages of medical records. What do you find, if anything, the most frustrating, what's your biggest pet peeve about those records?
Aside from doctors' handwriting, which, no offense to any doctors, I could give doctors a run for their money. My handwriting's terrible. My biggest 2 pet peeves are the lack of consistency between the different EMR systems. You pull an Epic system, it looks totally different than a Cerner system, than any other system. They're just, they have different languages, so to speak. The other problems I have with them are some of the forms in those EMRs are auto-populated. So a professional may not have done a pain score in a spine injury case, for instance. I have a big auto accident where my client had 3 different spine surgeries. And on one of the records, about 3 weeks after her surgery, pain score is a 0. Well, it's a 0 because no one recorded it, not because she didn't have any pain. It's just the EMR didn't get a number, so it plugged in a 0. And so I have to explain that and try to figure out, well, it looks suspicious, and I'm the lawyer coming into the courtroom asking for money, so everyone's immediately suspicious of me. And I have to now explain why it's not my fault, it's the AI that did it. And that tends to be a huge problem. The other thing that I don't like about the electronic records, and it's no different than when they were paper records, I don't like reverse chronological order. My brain just doesn't work that way. So I don't like that the most recent visit is up front and the first visit is last. If I could figure out a way to flip them really easily, I would, just because it works better in my brain. But
Mhm.
they're all reverse chronological, and I just have to learn to live with it and learn to think different, I suppose. But
Right.
the biggest thing I think is just the EMR and the way the systems are set up can cause problems that wouldn't otherwise exist.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I definitely understand that. You know, those systems. It's nice as a medical professional uh, to know the what is happening or what's supposed to happen, and just to see how those records meet up with the truth of what happened. So uh, I understand. So, and now you have given so much good information. You've told us all about how you dive into those records yourself. What else? Do you have any other highlights that you would give? Any bits of advice for newbie or veteran attorneys when they are deciding if they should take these types of cases?
Yeah, absolutely. I think be very cautious. There's an old adage in management classes. My wife is in the business world, and so she says this often. Hire slow, fire fast. And I think it's very much the same when you're talking about complex medical issues or complex medical cases. Is hire slow, fire fast. You want to be able to very thoroughly investigate the case well before you would ever file a lawsuit or well before you would ever take any depositions or do anything like that. And part of that investigation is still, in my mind, the best advice that I've received from any lawyer is learn the medicine. If you're going to do any injury work, you have to learn the medicine. It is a hazard of the job. And it's vitally important that you do that. And so I think that we're sometimes in a rush to get a case on file and get it moving, and I understand that, and that's important to the client. But if you can really flush out an investigation of your case and really put your proofs in place and make sure you have everything that you need before you ever set foot in the courtroom, I think you're already a step ahead of everybody else. I'm a very big believer in the old, measure twice, cut once. Just make sure
Okay.
that you're the most prepared person in the room, and you're going to succeed more often than not. Preparation and hard work, you can outwork people who are far more talented than you, and I'm living proof of that, because there are lawyers that are way more talented than I am and far more intelligent than I am, but they're not going to outwork me. And I think that really has made a huge difference for me, is that hard work and preparation. That when the rubber meets the road, that really is the difference maker, at least in my experience.
All right, that's good information. And let me just say, as my spouse says, measure thrice and
There you
cut
go.
once.
I like it. I like it.
There you go. Well, it's wonderful having you here and sharing all of these nuggets of knowledge that you have. But now it's the time where we have a little Q&A if you're ready
All
for that.
right. Absolutely.
All right. So while you folks are out there, anybody watching this live, get your questions together for John and get ready to put them inside the chat, the comment section, and he's going to answer those for you. All right. Now, while we're waiting for you to get your questions together, it's time for what I call a little tiny commercial break, a sponsor break. And it gives me a chance to talk to you a little bit about Wade Nurse Consultants and what we do here. Now, as an attorney, without having a review and summary of the medical records, it might be harder to know if you should take that case. And here at Wade Nurse Consultants, we give you a 1 to 2 page synopsis and opinion regarding the merits of those types of cases. And by using my 30 plus years of nursing experience, we make quick work of those medical case screenings. So if you're watching this and you have a backlog of medical cases to be screened, and you need to get clarity on some of those medical issues so that can free you to focus on your legal strategies. Here's what you do right now. We are offering a free 20-minute medical record strategy call to help you hone an efficient, timely, and cost effective routine around your medical cases. And inside the chat, you're going to find the link where you can click and schedule a consultation as soon as you can. Now, it's time to get back to Q&A for John Risvold. And John, let's take a look. Do we have any questions yet? And the answer is no. But that happens sometimes. So
it is a federal holiday, so maybe people are enjoying the holiday. I don't know.
It could be happening. It could be happening. But we have a solution for that. And here's what it is. Inside the description box of this YouTube channel and inside this chat, we're going to put your contact information, John. So if anybody is catching us live or catching us on the replay, they can go into that chat, get your contact information, and get to you and ask you those questions directly. Does that sound like a plan?
That sounds fantastic. I'm always open to those chats. I think I learn more every time I have one. So absolutely.
Excellent. And my last question for you, is, will you come back again?
I'd be happy to. The minute I heard you describe yourself as the friendly neighborhood legal nurse consultant, I jokingly described myself as your friendly neighborhood injury lawyer because I'm a nerd and that's Spider-Man and I love that. And so I thought we're kindred spirits. I love it. So I will be back. You better believe it. I will absolutely.
All right. I'm not going to sing the Spider-Man song from the beginning, but you know how it goes.
I do. I have a 5-year-old son, so I know how all those go for sure.
Wonderful. Oh, that's good. Well, I think we're going to wind up for today, if that's all right with you, John. And you said you're going to come back again, and we are looking forward to that.
Anytime. I'd be happy.
All right. Well, let me just remind anybody that's watching us on live or on the replay, like this show and subscribe to this channel. And if you have any questions that come up, legal nurse consulting questions, you can reach me, Lisa, at wadenurseconsultants.com, or visit our website, wadenurseconsultants.com. And we will get those legal nurse consulting questions answered for you. But we hope you all tune in next week and catch us Monday, 5:15 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for a brand new episode of Should You Take That Case? And we'll catch you next time. Thanks for coming, John.
Thank you.
All righty.